Power English.
Welcome to the show, everybody.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Joe.
And I'm Cameron Word.
I just would like to remind everyone that our new book for May, Power English, is at the bookstore. But, of course, a lot of people like to order online, so you can go to some online bookstores. And we also provide ebooks. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah, so there are actually a lot of people who do buy ebooks.
You know, ebooks are so handy because you can listen to the show and be on your phone.
Yeah.
Looking at it at the same time.
Totally.
Sometimes a book is...
Cumbersome.
Cumbersome. Difficult to carry around, right?
Especially when during rush hour, when you're all like a sardine.
Yeah.
Packed like a sardine
or
in the subway.
I always have this problem.
What problem?
So at home, it's nice to have a book.
Sure.
But when I'm traveling and I put that book in my bag.
Yeah.
And then the pages get bent. And I'm like, oh no.
You don't like the bent pages.
I want my books to look like they've never been touched. Obviously, I'm reading them.
You know, it's so funny that you say that because I don't like pages that curl up. Yeah. That's kind of a pet peeve. I like it flat.
just want cardboard. Like really thick pages.
All right. So everyone, our books are available for you. Go out and get your Power English book. Or even better, subscribe for a year. You get about 20% off.
Yes.
Okay, so this is going to be our last travel dialogue about Greenland.
Yeah.
Okay? And they are discussing overall, how they felt about the trip. And one person comments, it's definitely a diamond in the rough. This is an idiom, diamond in the rough, R-O-U-G-H. What does this mean?
Yeah, so Korean actually has an interesting phrase similar.
Okay.
흙 속의 진주.
Ooh, it's a pearl.
A pearl in the mud.
Okay.
Very similarly, so we know what a diamond is.
Yes.
This rough here, R-O-U-G-H, it doesn't have like a real meaning here. It just kind of means like a dirty or an uncivilized place.
Right.
If you've played golf... There is the area of the golf course called the rough, and that is where they don't mow the grass as well.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
The grass is taller. It's
kind of wild.
Yeah, it's a little more wild.
Yeah.
So it's like finding a diamond in the wild grass.
Okay, very good. All right. Now, if you team up with someone, what are you doing?
You are joining them and doing something together.
Okay. And to make up for something?
Well, you missed out on something. You lost something. So you're going to do something else instead.
All right. Very good. Let's go ahead and listen to our travel dialogue.
Greenland wasn't what I expected. Still, it's definitely a diamond in the rough.
I agree, but I'll definitely be sending groups of adventurous travelers here.
We met some great locals you can team up with so people can have the authentic Greenland experience.
It's one of the few new tourist destinations in the world.
I think that's a really good thing.
And what it lacked in things like fancy hotels and restaurants, it made up for it with its beauty.
Please join us on page 152. You can find our power dialogue there. Aria begins by saying, Greenland wasn't what I expected. Still, it's definitely a diamond in the rough. Let's start with our power pattern today. Whatever, something, wasn't what I expected. So, I think we can kind of figure out what this means, but how can we better understand how this is used?
Yeah, so this is when you're surprised about something.
Yes.
Ooh, that wasn't what I expected. And to be honest, usually I hear this in a negative way.
I agree.
You have high expectations for something, and it is not what you thought it was.
Right.
Here, though, Arya does seem to like Greenland after having been there. But she is saying, ooh, that was really different than what I was thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
And then she says still, which means it's definitely a diamond in the rough. So she did have some negative thoughts about Greenland.
Yes.
It's still true.
Mm-hmm.
However, she felt like, actually, it was not so bad. There were some good points.
Right.
So, if you describe a place as being a diamond in the rough, how are you describing this place?
You're saying that it's a hidden treasure. There are maybe many other things around it that aren't great, but there is one thing that is just a shining, prime example of something wonderful.
Right. And it's not easily found. You have to go searching for it. You have to kind of dig a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that you get, a diamond in the rough. So when we look at it, it looks very rough.
Yeah.
But if you actually, look closer and dig, then
do some searching.
Do some searching. Yeah, you can find something.
Yes.
That's the whole idea. Okay, what does Ezra say?
I agree, but I'll definitely be sending groups of adventurous travelers here.
Okay, so I'll be sending adventurous travelers here. So I do feel like people who like resorts or kind of an easy vacation, maybe Greenland is not for them.
Yeah, I don't think Greenland is that kind of hotel, poolside, drinking cocktails sort of experience.
Right.
Maybe if you're more outdoorsy.
Yeah. You really, I think, need to love adventure to go to Greenland. Okay. Aria says, we met some great locals you can team up with so people can have the authentic Greenland experience. Okay, so they met some locals. It's always good to know a local or two. And they teamed up with the locals and they had an authentic experience. So if you team up, T-E-A-M, like team, up with someone, what are you doing? You're making a team?
Yes.
Okay.
This does mean to make a team. And of course, if they're meeting someone, maybe they're not making an actual team. But if you're traveling, especially, I feel like when you go to like hostels, like when you're in your 20s and you're young, maybe you will go and meet someone there and you'll team up for the day.
Agree.
You'll have like one day traveling together and then you'll go your separate ways.
Right. This does happen.
Yeah. It's happened to me several times.
Oh, it has. Yeah. I was in Africa. I was in Zanzibar on an island, and there were these two other travelers, and we teamed up for the whole 2-3 days that we were there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we hired a taxi together. So sometimes it works out. You save money.
Yeah. Oftentimes, you try and get the group discount.
Yeah, that's right.
The night you're at the hotel, you're like, okay, is anybody gonna go on safari? You want to share the cost?
Right, let's share the cost.
Yeah.
Okay, what does authentic mean?
Authentic means true or real. In this case, if you're talking about an experience in Greenland, you're talking about experiencing something the way that Greenlanders would experience it.
Right. Not like a typical tourist would.
Right. So another great example of this is food.
Yes,
we talk about
sure.
authentic food.
Yeah, authentic Korean food, authentic Greek food. Yeah.
Yeah, you're always trying to find that, not the touristy experience, the touristy food, but the real experience or real food that the locals have.
That's right. So when we go traveling and we go to a Korean restaurant, we kind of judge it based on, is it the authentic or is this the French version?
It's true. Yeah. Is this the, for example, like Italian food?
Yeah.
To be honest, sometimes I want authentic Italian food.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't.
Sometimes you want American.
I want American Italian food.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, so Ezra says it's one of the few new tourist destinations in the world. So it's a new place that people go to. And Arya says, I think that's a really good thing. And Ezra?
And what it lacked in things like fancy hotels and restaurants, it made up for with its beauty.
Okay, so you have to take the first part. Okay, it didn't have fancy hotels and restaurants, but it made up for it with its beauty. So what does this mean?
This means that usually, like, say you go to France.
Yeah.
Or even Seoul has lots of fancy hotels now.
Sure.
Yeah, so we expect that usually, but Greenland didn't have it.
No.
So if it's not going to have the fancy stuff like that, it has to have something else.
That's right.
Otherwise, people would not go to it.
Why would they go?
Right?
Right.
So it makes up for it. It instead of the fancy hotels, it has another type of beauty, another type of great experience.
Right. There is a kind of exchange.
Yes.
Right? So one is lacking, then you supplement it with another.
Right.
So it doesn't have the hotels or any of that stuff, but it's got great beauty. Okay, let's go ahead and listen to that one more time.
Greenland wasn't what I expected. Still, it's definitely a diamond in the rough.
I agree, but I'll definitely be sending groups of adventurous travelers here.
We met some great locals you can team up with so people can have the authentic Greenland experience.
It's one of the few new tourist destinations in the world.
I think that's a really good thing.
And what it lacked in things like fancy hotels and restaurants, it made up for it with its beauty.
Please join us on pages 154 and 55. A diamond in the rough is basically, it's got great potential, but when you look at it, it doesn't look very fancy. It's very rough looking, right? Okay. The new picture is a diamond in the rough, but with some training, he could be a star.
If anyone can make him great, it's you, coach.
Thank you. I'm the coach.
Yeah.
That's right. So when you see someone and you're like, oh, they're kind of rough, but you see their potential, they could be a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, here the image is kind of like a diamond that hasn't been cut yet.
That's right.
Yeah, so the diamonds don't come in those like really shiny,
No,
edgy
they
looking
don't.
shapes, right?
They don't. They
They're
got to cut it.
Yeah, they got to cut it. And so I think maybe that's what they mean by a rough diamond.
Yeah.
A diamond in the rough.
Right. So it's like when you just leave it as it is, it's not that brilliant white stuff. You got to cut through it.
Yeah.
Okay. Despite her lack of experience, her talent proves she's a diamond in the rough. So, yeah, she doesn't seem to be a professional, not even a amateur, but she doesn't have experience, but she's very talented. So with some experience and with some training, she's going to be a real diamond later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you gotta work hard to find these diamonds in the rough.
Yeah. But once you find it, they have great value.
Keep them forever.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about leaders and coaches, their ability to find talent underneath the rough, you know?
It's so true.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you've got a business, neither of us have a business.
No.
But finding the right employees,
Sure.
finding the diamonds in the rough that you can like raise and make great team members.
Totally.
That can, completely change the success of your business.
That's right. And so that leads me to that expression, don't judge a book by its cover. You know, for what they seem is not what they are in the inside.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. Okay. Team up with someone means to work with another person or group and kind of make a team. Who are you working with on the group project?
I teamed up with Sarah and Jake to finish it faster.
Okay, so team up with Sarah and Jake. And she teamed up with her best friend to start a new business.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's such a good idea.
To be honest, usually it does not work out.
Yeah, with friendships, you might lose a friend and a business. Oh, that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's very important that you think twice before you team up with someone to do something.
Yes.
Especially with business.
Definitely with business. But, I think it depends on really how your business mind is. Like,
True.
It's kind of like in marriage, like maybe you romantically love the person, but if you don't have the same ideas for what you want out of life, it doesn't matter how much you love each other sometimes.
It's not going to last.
You've got to have the same direction.
That's right.
About so many things.
Right.
I think with business as well. No matter how good of friends you are, when you go to have coffee and talk, when you team up for a business
is business.
Your values about what you want out of a business have to be so closely closely aligned.
Totally agree. So some of them are successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great team. But then some of them, if you don't think about that, then to team up with someone could be a disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can not only business, but you can team up together for a certain project, even in school.
Yeah.
You know,
or if you're on a reality TV show and you need an alliance, so you team up with some people and vote out the other people.
That's the formula.
Yeah.
That is the formula.
You got to team up with the right people so you can beat your opponents.
That is so very true. You got to team up with the right people, everyone.
Yeah.
In life.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we teamed up really well.
We did.
Okay. Make up for something means to compensate for a mistake, loss, or shortcoming. So basically, you made a mistake, this was a bad part, and then you're replacing that with something else.
Yes.
Okay, why didn't Caroline leave the office at 6?
She's working overtime to make up for the hours she missed last week.
So last week, not enough hours. This week, she's making up for it.
Yes.
Okay. He bought her flowers to make up for forgetting their anniversary.
Ooh, so like an apology.
Yeah, I think flowers is not enough.
For missing an anniversary?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe a new car?
Okay, that could make up for it. A new car. I think, so you gotta be careful how you approach this if you want to make up for something.
To make up for something.
Yeah.
I think of the term personality hire. Have you heard of this?
No, what's that?
It's the person in the office who has no business skills, but they have a good personality.
Oh.
So you'd say like, I have no business skills, but I make up for it with my bright personality.
Yeah. Well, that is true.
And in English, we call that the personality hire.
Oh, that's great.
The person in the office that they cannot work, but they make the rest of the office so much better.
Hey.
Yeah.
I mean, we need everyone to have a team.
That's
That
true.
is great.
Yeah.
Okay. Power pattern. Something wasn't what I expected. So basically, there's a little bit of a disappointment here. That salad wasn't what I expected.
Yeah, probably a disappointment.
But it could be actually, wow, it was actually much better than I thought.
Yes.
Oh.
The plot of the movie wasn't what I expected. I thought it was going to be a romance, and it was a horror movie.
Okay. All right. Our power vocab is the word authentic. Do check out the definition on page 156. And also stop by
Audio Ohakdang.
Yes, pay a very small monthly fee, and you can have access to so many wonderful programs here at EBS Radio. And please, check out Evening Special at 6 p.m. We're going live.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we'll see you there. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.